Now the way to line the tin is to take the edge of the pastry and wrap it over the rolling pin. So you roll it all round the rolling pin like that. Then you slide your tin into the centre and then put the tip over the edge of the tin and then just unroll it. That's quite an easy operation. Now the thing to remember here is it's very tempting now to start smoothing it out and stretching it, and that's the thing you don't want to do. What you want to do is ease it in and not stretch it out. So when you're putting the pastry in, just ease it down. And because pastry is likely to shrink a little bit in the oven, it's important that you get good, strong walls. I always like to think of this bit as sort of building a wall and reinforcing a wall. Just push it down like that and make a nice, strong, sturdy wall. Now, if you find that you've got a little bit of wall, as I have on this side here, which isn't quite as thick as the others, take a piece of pastry off where you've got a thick bit and just press that in and reinforce it. You can do all these little tricks. It doesn't really matter. Nobody's going to know. And what you're really aiming at is good, sturdy walls. Now, I haven't wasted any pastry there, and I often just leave a little bit sticking up at the edge, just to allow for shrinkage. But if you want to be a perfectionist and you want to have very neat edges, then you can just take a knife and just slide the knife round like that, which means that you'll have neater edges, but you'll also have little bits of pastry left over, so I never really bother with that. That's all that's needed. Press the base over because you want all the air out from underneath. It's air trapped underneath that causes pastry to rise up whilst it's cooking. And then, just to make sure you haven't got any air trapped, or if you have, to let it out, prick the base. And don't worry when you're pricking it that the filling will fall through, because the pricks will seize up. Now this is going to be baked, what's called baked blind. Sometimes that's confusing for beginners, but baking blind means that you're going to bake it in the oven without any filling in it before the filling goes in, to get the pastry nice and crisp before the filling goes in, because we want to have a crisp edge. That's what we're aiming at. And the thing to do is to place that on another very important piece of kitchen equipment, and that is this. Have one of these, a nice solid baking sheet in the oven. Put this on it, because this is a good conductor of heat as well. You've got a nice solid baking sheet which will be very hot, and that'll cook the base so it's very crisp underneath. A lot of people are always asking me, how can I get the underneath of my flans crisp? Well, that's one of the ways. Then you put that in the oven, and provided you've lined it carefully and pricked it, you don't need greaseproof paper or baking beans or any of those things that cause extra bother. And if you find it starts to rise up a little bit, have a look halfway through and just sort of slap it down again or prick it again with a fork. It'll be perfectly all right. Now give that 15 minutes in the oven. That's at gas mark 4, 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And then take it out, and as an extra precaution, I've got one here to show you, that's been pre-baked. As an extra precaution, just paint over the pastry shell with beaten egg. And what that does is it sort of gives it an extra crispness, because you put it back in the oven. Put it back in the oven for another 5 minutes, and then when it comes out, it really is lovely and crisp and firm before the filling goes in. And that's, again, what we're aiming at.